Spirit. Lord, a loving Father, thank you for your presence amidst us. I'm a puny little creature, the dust from the dust. If you were with me, I can be your mighty instrument, Lord. Bless me, Lord, so that I might break your word to these young hearts. Help everyone to perceive what they are going through, that they may become aware, to open their hearts, and to let your presence in. As some of them openly share how your presence transformed their lives. Help every one of us to have the openness of heart to experience you and to create a joy and transform this joy around this globe, just like your apostles did. We make our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Good evening to you all. How are you all? Great? Yes. Can you just look around and give a smile? So pray for all those who are standing. They are burning more calories. I know why I learned just. Right. So it's a first case study. My client named Yax, age 17, and two siblings. Life goes on, and every bit of our childhood till now, of age 17, she feels lonely all through her life, because within 2 years gap, another child being born, that's her younger brother. So she always felt neglected, and she didn't have the feeling that I belong to this family. Or because as soon as the younger one is born, the whole attention went there. Till you're 14, children are, their mindset is like children. So when the attention went all to that child, she felt being neglected. Even every little comment that came, it all started piling up. Just like an unsigned files on an officer's table. Why I call this is like an unfinished business. An unfinished business kept on piling up. A big virus called "I'm not being wanted" started permeating all through. And the days went on. As she grew up to be a teen, she always wanted to become famous. And she knew by becoming famous, we can win this world, get the attention. Whatever I missed out in the childhood, can fill it up. She would Google it, watch YouTube, how to become famous. So she tried out with different dressing, different costumes and things like that. And she seemed to become famous by the time another, just like a sibling, another person coming in, walking into the classroom, more beautiful than her, according to her terms. So far, all the attention was to me. As soon as that person enters the classroom, everybody turns there and I am feeling neglected. So to become famous, even to get the attention of teachers, to become good with the teachers, and there are also some competition coming up. Finally, she got attracted by the boy, started developing relationship. And then she ends up finding out He has 10 more other girls in the list. And then she started going through social media, because when we meet persons face to face and I begin to trust they are cheating, at least when I don't know, the pain will be little lesser, even if they cheat. And that's how this person entered in, and she ended up cheating so many other people. And there's one sort of a software which gives her access to find out people who are available. And she grew up, started having a physical intimacy. And even that is not giving her a complete solution for her loneliness, sort of a self-pity that person suffers with. And friends introduced drugs, given in the school, in the washroom, exchange of drugs. And then slowly, she felt so good. When she took up all this, that high, wow, what a joy. You forget all your worries for a moment. Hey, don't misjudge me as if I am taking. You already made some judgments. I can sense it. Yeah? It is all like hearsay, yeah? I assure you. That's how one person I was dealing with, yeah, now I'm dealing with the headaches in the prison as well as elsewhere. And one person asked me a question, have you ever tried drug? I said no. How will you counsel me? He was right. Yeah. So, that's how for a moment she sort of got away from that pain. And this physical intimacy with many people got increased, thinking that this will heal, this will heal, this will heal. And slowly end up sort of a self-abuse, depression. Age of 17 and you know what exams to come. Exams came in. She wrote exams. Could not shine well. And with all this depression, as parents were sleeping in the night, slowly she got up. See, my life is going nowhere. Why should I exist? There is no true relationship. Other people want my body, or whatever that I share for a moment. Something that they can get from me. There is no one who can give. Nobody loves me. I'm not wanted in this world. Lock the bedroom of the parents. It's 12 a.m. Started walking from one emirate to the other. It's more than 30 kilometers throughout the night walk. Thinking, anywhere a vehicle coming, I would jump in. Every moment she decided to jump in, something holds her back. And then she says, walk a little further, a little further, a little further. And she reached a mall. And in the mall, she says, like an insane, a person who's gone off mind, going around the mall, 3 a.m. And people looking at her strange. Finally, police sends her there with her parents, because parents had to call police. They're locked up, they can't call. So they had to call police and open up. They came in house, and with the police help, they went about searching, and They found this person at 10 a.m. I'm not wanted in this world. Somewhere this loneliness, this sort of, maybe the story somewhat similar, somewhat not similar, a little bit of it applies to every one of us in one way or the other somewhere. How to deal with this loneliness and sort of a self-pity that eats up, corrodes our heart. Let's watch a small video. Just click it here.
Everybody feels lonely from time to time. When we have no one to sit next to at lunch, when we move to a new city, or when nobody has time for us at the weekend. But over the last few decades, this occasional feeling has become chronic for millions. In the UK, 60% of 18 to 34-year-olds say they often feel lonely. In the US, 46% of the entire population feel lonely regularly. We are living in the most connected time in human history, and yet an unprecedented number of us feel isolated. Being lonely and being alone are not the same thing. You can be filled with bliss by yourself and hate every second surrounded by friends. Loneliness is a purely subjective, individual experience. If you feel lonely, you are lonely. A common stereotype is that loneliness only happens to people who don't know how to talk to people or how to behave around others. But population-based studies have shown that social skills make practically no difference for adults when it comes to social connections. Loneliness can affect everybody. Money, fame, power, beauty, social skills, a great personality. Nothing can protect you against loneliness because it's part of your biology. Loneliness is a bodily function, like hunger. Hunger makes you pay attention to your physical needs. Loneliness makes you pay attention to your social needs. Your body cares about your social needs because millions of years ago it was a great indicator of how likely you were to survive. Natural selection rewarded our ancestors for collaboration and for forming connections with each other. Our brains grew and became more and more fine-tuned to recognize what others thought and felt and to form and sustain social bonds. Being social became part of our biology. You were born into groups of 50 to 150 people, which you usually stayed with for the rest of your life. Getting enough calories, staying safe and warm, or caring for offspring was practically impossible alone. Being together meant survival. Being alone meant death. So it was crucial that you got along with others. For your ancestors, the most dangerous threat to survival was not being eaten by a lion, but not getting the social vibe of your group and being excluded. To avoid that, your body came up with social pain. Pain of this kind is an evolutionary adaptation to rejection. A sort of early warning system to make sure you stop behavior that would isolate you. Your ancestors who experienced rejection as more painful were more likely to change their behavior when they got rejected and thus stayed in the tribe, while those who did not got kicked out and most likely died. That's why rejections hurt, and even more so, why loneliness is so painful. These mechanisms for keeping us connected worked great for most of our history until humans began building a new world for themselves. The loneliness epidemic we see today really only started in the late Renaissance. Western culture began to focus on the individual. Intellectuals moved away from the collectivism of the Middle Ages, while the young Protestant theology stressed individual responsibility. This trend accelerated during the Industrial Revolution. People left their villages and fields to enter factories. Communities that had existed for hundreds of years began to dissolve, while cities grew. As our world rapidly became modern, this trend sped up more and more. Today, we move vast distances for new jobs, love and education, and leave our social net behind. We meet fewer people in person, and we meet them less often than in the past. In the US, the mean number of close friends dropped from 3 in 1985 to 2 in 2011. Most people stumble into chronic loneliness by accident. You reach adulthood and become busy with work, university, romance, kids and Netflix. There's just not enough time. The most convenient and easy thing to sacrifice is time with friends. Until you wake up one day and realize that you feel isolated, that you yearn for close relationships. But it's hard to find close connections as adults, and so loneliness can become chronic. While humans feel pretty great about things like iPhones and spaceships, our bodies and minds are fundamentally the same they were 50,000 years ago. We are still biologically fine-tuned to being with each other. Large-scale studies have shown that the stress that comes from chronic loneliness is among the most unhealthy things we can experience as humans. It makes you age quicker, it makes cancer deadlier, Alzheimer's advance faster, your immune system's weaker. Loneliness is twice as deadly as obesity and as deadly as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. The most dangerous thing about it is that once it becomes chronic, it can become self-sustaining. Physical and social pain use common mechanisms in your brain. Both feel like a threat, and so social pain leads to immediate and defensive behavior when it's inflicted on you. When loneliness becomes chronic, your brain goes into self-preservation mode. It starts to see danger and hostility everywhere. But that's not all. Some studies found that when you're lonely, your brain is much more receptive and alert to social signals, while at the same time, it gets worse at interpreting them correctly. You pay more attention to others, but you understand them less. The part of your brain that recognizes faces gets out of tune and becomes more likely to categorize neutral faces as hostile, which makes it distrustful of others. Loneliness makes you assume the worst about others' intentions towards you. Because of this perceived hostile world, you can become more self-centered to protect yourself, which can make you appear more cold, unfriendly, and socially awkward than you really are. If loneliness has become a strong presence in your life, the first thing you can do is to try to recognize the vicious cycle you may be trapped in. It usually goes something like this. An initial feeling of isolation leads to feelings of tension and sadness, which makes you focus your attention selectively on negative interactions with others. This makes your thoughts about yourself and others more negative, which then changes your behavior. You begin to avoid social interaction, which leads to more feelings of isolation. This cycle becomes more severe and harder to escape each time. Loneliness makes you sit far away from others in class, not answer the phone when friends call, decline invitations until the invitations stop. Each and every one of us has a story about ourselves, and if your story becomes that people exclude you, others pick up on that. And so the outside world can become the way you feel about it. This is often a slow creeping process that takes years and can end in depression and a mental state that prevents connections even if you yearn for them. The first thing you can do to escape it is to accept that loneliness is a totally normal feeling and nothing to be ashamed of. Literally everybody feels lonely at some point in their life. It's a universal human experience. You can't eliminate or ignore a feeling until it goes away magically, but you can accept that you feel it and get rid of its cause. You can self-examine what you focus your attention on and check if you are selectively concentrating on negative things. Was this interaction with a colleague really negative? Or was it really neutral or even positive? What was the actual content of an interaction? What did the other person say? And did they say something bad, or did you add extra meaning to their words? Maybe another person was not really reacting negatively, but just short on time. Then there are your thoughts about the world. Are you assuming the worst about others' intentions? Do you enter a social situation and have already decided how it will go? Do you assume others don't want you around? Are you trying to avoid being hurt and not risking opening up? And if so, can you try to give others the benefit of the doubt? Can you just assume that they're not against you? Can you risk being open and vulnerable again? And lastly, your behavior. Are you avoiding opportunities to be around others? Are you looking for excuses to decline invitations? Or are you pushing others away preemptively to protect yourself? Are you acting as if you're getting attacked? Are you really looking for new connections, or have you become complacent with your situation? Of course, every person and situation is unique and different, and just introspection alone might not be enough. If you feel unable to solve your situation by yourself, please try to reach out and get professional help. It's not a sign of weakness, but of courage. However we look at loneliness, as a purely individual problem that needs solving to create more personal happiness, or as a public health crisis, it is something that deserves more attention. Humans have built a world that's nothing short of amazing, and yet none of the shiny things we've made is able to satisfy or substitute our fundamental biological need for connection. Most animals get what they need from their physical surroundings. We get what we need from each other. And we need to build our artificial human world based on that. Let's try something together. Let's reach out to someone today. Regardless if you feel a little bit lonely, or if you want to make someone else's day better. Maybe write a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Call a family member who's become estranged. Invite a work buddy for a coffee. Or just go to something you're usually too afraid to go to or too lazy to go to, like a D&D event or a sports club. Everybody's different, so you know what's a good fit for you. Maybe nothing will come of it, and that's okay. Don't do this with any expectations. The goal is just to open up a bit, to exercise your connection muscles so they can grow stronger over time, or to help others exercise them. We want to recommend two of the books we read while researching this video. Emotional First Aid by Guy Winch, a book that addresses, among other topics, how to deal with loneliness in a way that we found helpful and actionable. And Loneliness, Human Nature and the Need for Social Connection by John Cacioppo and William Patrick. It's an entertaining and scientific exploration as to why we experience loneliness on a biological level, how it's spread in society, and what science has to say about how to escape it. Links for both books in the video description.
Hello! Hi! Hello! You know, friends, these two books are wonderful. These two researchers have done a lot more things on how to overcome the loneliness. Yeah, this client of mine headed up to my office. We started talking, and we just made a relationship, a friendship, and the whole family ended up, and we began to understand things differently. And I told her not to go to a prayer service which she usually goes. I told her not to go to church. I told her not to pray. Just for 1 or 2 weeks. Focus on yourself. I'm there with you. Focus on yourself. Keeping an ice cream on the dustbin is not a healthy way. Clean up. Let's clean up together. I'm with you. Let's clean up together. And we spoke. And she was able to address all those things that was deep inside of her. Now she can pray better. Even if they speak about sin, she doesn't feel shame. She can experience God's mercy and compassion much more better. And the whole family understood how to create this emotional and healthy relationship around. we decided to say goodbye to this earth, to this place, not this earth, to this place. And the whole family came in to say goodbye. We are not going to earn more money, the place that we have chosen. We are not going to have all the facilities that all we enjoyed here for a long time. We decided to be there for each other every day. We have decided to be there for each other every day. And we happily went away from our office. My friends, the moment you experience loneliness, that is equivalent to smoking. You count how many cigarettes? Let's see who counts fast. Yeah, 18 is correct. 18 is correct, yeah. It should be a good smoker. That's kidding, that's kidding. Right. So in a day, John, the second author of the book, he speaks about it. So it's just equivalent to that. The way you feel lonely is equivalent to smoke this many cigarettes. By creation, God created us to be together. God, after creation, finds one thing not so good. That's man being alone. And He knows how it will lead up to. And that's how in the creation itself, He created so many. And in nature and everywhere, it is togetherness that turns out to be a blessing. The moment you feel lonely, you build walls. Your defenses grows higher and higher. When your defenses grow higher and higher, you keep yourself aloof. And that increases depression. And you make a decision. It's better to be all alone. And this loneliness, the feeling of loneliness, increases morning cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. So the moment you feel stress, it increases. They measure up by morning and evening. People who feel lonely, as soon as they get up, the first thought that appears for them is another day. So that increases. See, the moment there is an increase of acid, your immune system goes low. They tested it on babies. This is all against all this scientific test. But olden days the test was conducted like some children in pediatric ward. They weren't given any human touch at all. Feeding also without touch, even without even having a look. They will cover up fully and they will not have a human look. And after 3 months, they took out the saliva from those children. The B cells count went very low, which means the immune system went very low. And if they have continued, for sure the child will die. The beginning of the Bible is very, very clear. It is not good to be alone. Suffering with loneliness. To be alone, if you are very happy, it's good. Be happy. And if you are really suffering that loneliness, it's not good. It's something that will be done very early. When you have this feeling of loneliness, the detoxification process that happens on your body gets reduced. Loneliness increases self-pity. This is how I am born. My dad is like this. Mommy is like. My whole life is going to be this way. Nothing that can be changed. And with that mind, I come to Mass. The priest is also like this. I thought somewhere there can be a relief and join in the youth group. The youth group is worse than that. You attract what you are. You attract what you are. It's not that something that is outside that is to be changed. There is something that is inside of you that is to be changed. So the Bible is very clear. Nothing that is evil that goes inside of one person. It is already what is inside. Loneliness is not sad or bad. It is what? Please, my dear friends. And that's how I thought I can do many exercises, but not possible, not fully packed. Maybe we can have a bigger hall some other day where we can have womb therapy, where we can have certain relaxation techniques to get out of this loneliness. Practically, we need to do it. Listening, all this, you can get it in the YouTube and Google. Yeah? And how to get out of it is most what you need. That's the thing that brought you together. Yeah? That we need more of practices, and exercises, therapies that can help you to get out of it. Maybe I can say some of it. You can try by yourself. Maybe next time we will try a bigger hall where we can work it out. So, loneliness, the moment you feel a loneliness, it's an indicator, an iceberg. Attend to it. If you feel thirsty, once you go, drink water. If you have headache, you're very happy to go to the doctor. If you have something connected with your emotion and brain, something trouble, people will call me mad. Let me suffer with it. So, any indicator, work it on. It might even be just one small talk with some professional can transform your whole perception of realities in the world. So give it a try. This boy grew up nicely in a family. And as soon as he joined the school and the family, as he slowly grew up, he perceived every time there is some way or the other shouting and yelling at home. Shouting and yelling at home. Mom blaming dad, dad blaming mom. This vicious cycle goes on, continuing. This boy at times troubled, traumatic. And because of this, he grew up, with an anxiety. Even a small mistake being done, mommy will shout at the top of the voice, "Why do you do that?" And mommy, every time she gives a work, she will always tell the boy, "You are always a failure, this time be careful." Do you think he is going to be a successful one? She has already made the judgment. So, he comes back home with a failure. Mommy became acquaintance. She said, "You see, what I exactly said will happen to you. I am talking to God. God reveals to me exactly what will happen to you." And this boy began to believe you need to be completely submissive, and whatever mom says, it will happen. And every small appreciation he gets outside, comes and tells, mommy would say, "Don't take it to the head. You will reject God." Already he is in confusion. The only thing that he enjoyed was the appreciation from outside. And mommy kept on telling, "You are not like your brother. He is smart enough." And days went on. This boy became lonely. Even if he's within the family, he felt always being rejected and lonely. And at one stage, his studies are slowly going down, not able to perform, and they decided this boy is growing very mischievous. He should be sent somewhere to educate well. So they searched for all those places and finally found an orphanage. And they signed a document saying that this boy is an orphan, and they put him in an orphanage. Thinking that the orphanage run by priests, everything will be very, very holy. Prayer can do miracles and change this boy. And they pushed him inside. And it grew worse. He got bullied by those fellows inside. Already all are in pain. One paining the other. And that too, another feeling that the younger one is at home. I am put in an orphanage. Am I really an orphan? That feeling started creeping inside of him. Everywhere, this boy began to find that this world is not a fair place to live in. Injustice. Even the priest there in the orphanage giving heavy beating and then going to the mass and saying, God's love is wonderful. So the paradoxical communication is not able to perceive it in. And it became so heavy. He grew up saying, hate life. And he grew up as a teenager. And because he's a teenager, one of the holidays he was at home, he just turned and looked at a girl who was walking in that place. Got belted for that. Looking at girls is sin. And with all this pain, why? Because this pain grew up, piled up. It's all started with when he was very small. One day, something that he forgot to bring home that he usually carries to the school. Mommy kept telling, there is this, always your failure. And she took a ladle, burned it hard, kept all over his thigh to tell him, every time this mark is there on your thigh, you will remember you should not forget things. All this pain piled up of these physical abuses, verbal abuses, kept him to be alone. And even some people come and appreciate, he began to feel, I am not worthy of receiving this appreciation. And he would reject it. He would say it's simply nothing. Anybody giving love, he will get attached to, but at the same time, he will realize, everything that I love, it will go away one day from me. Feeling lonely, empty, all deep inside, broken, completely shattered. With this, he slowly saw a very, very tiny light entering in his life. That slowly began to change his life. Why? At one stage, Mommy forced him to join a seminary. And this boy is none other than me. Yeah? It's me. I went through all these troubles, all this pain, thinking that I'm only an orphan. And I'm not worthy to be loved. And I even thought of suicide many times. And there were many times, on many days, I would cover up myself in a bedsheet and cry. Because feeling shy, boys never cry. So, I don't want to show it. Cover it up and cry, shed tears, thinking that I am an orphan. And in the seminary, once I joined, there is somewhere an acceptance came in. Slowly, I began to understand somewhere the trouble is within me. I wasn't happy anywhere I go, anything that I do. Luckily, at the very early age, they pushed me inside the seminary. Otherwise, I would have surely been a drug addict or an alcohol addict. With the sort of pain that I went through, if somebody would have introduced something pleasurable at that stage, surely I would have gone. 100%. Somewhere, maybe that's where I feel God's intervention. You know, the vocation stories are different. My vocation story is totally different. One mad fellow gave me vocation. You will not believe it. He's a schizophrenic patient. I never knew that he's a schizophrenic. And he kept on telling about Bible, and he would speak, God's voice speaking in me, God is calling you. At that time, you know, at the grade 12, already in pain in a village school, in a vernacular government school. I don't know how to pronounce words in English. And this man telling something, God's voice, and you would get to know what I am doing with all my friends. He would in the evening come and say, this morning you walked with 7 fellows. Yeah, exactly. You know, I was like a slave for him. I was washing his clothes. God told him. And you know, maybe that sort of a thing, I mean, later on once I began to study it, then I understood. But once I entered the seminary, this disturbance continued. I'm saying, I saw the priests showing partiality, everything is injustice. They all reject me. Even though I'm talented, they reject me. All this crept inside of me. But you know, my friends, one thing that I hated in the world is psychology and the psychologist. Because one of my formator was a psychologist. He would say, if you're looking down like this, you are very critical. If you're turning like this, you are very cynical. I thought, this is the worst one. I should never study psychology. I was again forced to a place. I saw elderly priests, nuns. We have a center called Anugraha. So I was there in that center, all crying. I said, this is a drama. Maybe they scripted yesterday without my knowledge. Let me come. Next day is my turn to be a client. Let me see how they will make me cry. I was very strong. Because they were also good-looking young girls. In front of them, I was a showman, And I steadily went in. And the counselor came and asked, can you share with me what is troubling you the most? I said, if you want to find out from me. And that came a priest, a supervisor. In every session there is a supervisor. He came in and said, Arul, you got beautiful talents. This. I got carried away. Yeah. There's a name now. So thank you. And he slowly asked me, can you speak something about your childhood? And began narrating with tears. The session took 1 hour. I had to ventilate all my pain. And I had continuous sessions after which I got to know who I am. Began to accept that day who I really am. So far, I was only focusing on my problem. This problem, all my life, problem and problem. I attracted all the problems possible. The moment I had a U-turn, I saw a lot of opening around me. And I'm able to handle my emotions better. Not that I don't get angry, I get angry, but at once my brain gives an automatic another suggestion. Arul, think the other person's view as well. And what is the reason for you to get angry right now? I can process it better. It's an inner joy. Now, I have eaten apple. You have not. It will only look like a theory. It will sound like a theory. The moment you also get into it, after that you will understand the work of God and the presence of God much better when you clean up instead of suppress and then put ice cream over it. That will be effective after finishing Pota retreat 1 month. Because they put the expiry date also and send you out. Why? It's not about them. It's about me. I have not cleaned up inside. So my dear friends, I tell you the steps. Is it already fine? The first step. Recognize. Recognize the loneliness that is every now and then troubling you. Don't push it aside even if it is for a little longer period. It's better to recognize it. Yes, I go through. Just like me, if you go on saying, you find out if you want. I have no problem. You can live. But your life is shortened. This loneliness kills you very fast. You can take any medicines in the world. I can assure you, cure is not possible. Unless you have addressed something deep in your emotion. Unless you worked at it. If you are taking medicine, it's being on ventilator. At any time it can be taken away. Working on your emotions by yourself is empowering. Empowering, and you can stabilize yourself much better. Recognize, to take the mask off. Step 2. Understand. Everything has a root. The trouble that you suffer right now are certain confusions that's going around. Understand everything has a root somewhere. Because within the seminary, I had a problem with another seminarian. I wouldn't like him at all, anything that he performs. I would go back and spoil his name. You know, that fellow worst. Don't believe him, man. He's cheating. No, in all exams he's telling he's not studied, but he studies and scores 90 marks. Don't join with him. Come on, everybody join with me. I'm saying. I was actually pained. I didn't know what was there with me unless I began working at it. And one day I began to understand why I do this. I took him for my brother. Why? Because the moment my younger brother comes in, my importance vanishes away. Once this seminarian came in, my importance dimming away. So the only way, that time I was powerless when I was small. Because parents are the power, they put my brother at the pedestal and me down. So now I am powerful. How? Go and bad mouth. Spread the good news about the other. So, this is how violent reaction. I did this all a human thing. I did, all this and slowly became aware. I began to understand why I did all this. So now even the tendency, anything comes in, then I question myself and get to know the roots and then tell myself, oh, you're a wonderful man. You have so many good qualities with you. And you are wonderful people to love. What else do you need? God has given you that. So my focus, instead of on the problem, my mommy treated me this way, my daddy treated me. No. My focus has changed completely. The scars are there, but it no longer pains me because I completely turned. I worked at it. All those unfinished businesses, I was able to finish it one by one. A long process, yeah. I worked hard at it. I had my own spiritual mom, who can spiritually guide, and she literally became a mother because I lacked that mother's love part. And then I could strengthen myself and then go back to my biological mother, reconcile. All this process happened so beautifully. Only one thing is needed. Recognize and reclaim. The moment you do this, God does the rest of the thing. The flow happens. Why? Because you changed your focus, automatically things get aligned in the right way. The third, respond. Understanding itself not enough. You need to respond to those each wounds. They are like pain pockets in your neuron in your brain. You need to respond. Talk it out. Somebody whom you trust. Don't talk it out to somebody who is working in BBC. They will publish it. And then again it comes back. It's already on the WhatsApp, it is gone. Yeah? Just like, somebody's Father Jim is going to die tomorrow. Like that. What are fellows, yeah? One small news, it goes like that, yeah? So, respond. Talk to somebody who's a professional or somebody who's confidential. Talk it out. You see, most often this is the mistake that they do. Is there anybody who's here who was not sinned? Including me, huh? So we are all sinning. But one different thing is this. Certain sins that we keep on doing it. How? Maybe a bad thought appearing. We say, no, it should not come. It should not come. Oh, Lord, please, it should not come. How the Lord will come? That's why prayer. There, Lord, right now, I'm getting a sexual temptation. It's coming into my mind. I don't know whom to talk to. I'm talking to you. This sexual temptation is like a thorn in my flesh. What's this? So, I want to address it. These are the feelings that I have. I feel very lonely. And I feel I chose a wrong way of life. When I talk it out, it gets out of me. It gets out of me. Addressing it, not covering it up, not escaping it. To respond in a correct way. Respond to the feelings that's all going within you in a correct way. That can lead you to create a truthful relationship that can be with God, with one another. And that's all today's gospel, this week's gospel, of creating relationship. That I preached yesterday, if some of you have attended my mass. Yeah? Ask. Ask means creating relationship. Ask and it will be given to you. Yeah? Seek, you will find it. Knock, it will be open to you. So the ask means relationship. We cannot simply ask anybody anything. Once you know he's your friend, you are free to ask. And that's how this man goes and knocks the door, saying, my friend somehow will give me the bread. Create truthful relationship. Peripheral relationship for temporary, to just get out of your loneliness. You will go, make the relationship, something gets over, after that you get boredom, same thing to do it, same every day, come on, let's try something different, yeah. And finally, end up with a vacuum, loneliness becoming bigger. A genuine, truthful relationship. And that's how The sacrament of marriage, Catholic Church promotes is totally different from that of the world. It says, her husband, wife is his first priority. And for the wife, husband is the first priority. If that happens, by default, God becomes the first priority. So, creating a truthful relationship, that's where that will lead you to an intimacy with God that can take you away from this loneliness. Many people, just go in front of the mirror, just laugh it out without any purpose. Just laugh. If you're very, very lonely, 10 minutes, just go in front of the mirror and say, Lord, how you created me like this? This is the way you created. You're so funny, God. Why, you look at babies. Today I went to Susan's house. This little boy, he looks at me. I'm like a comedy piece for him. They don't need any reason to laugh. For us, we need, why you are laughing? If you ask somebody, they'll laugh, why you are laughing? Yeah, laughing, I have to give a theory or what? So, do things spontaneously, my dear people. We all gather up, and in the Mass, peace be with you, peace be with you. We don't know whom we said peace be with you. I know in one village, the fellow after the Mass came with a big wound on his one. I asked him what happened. He said, peace be with you to the window. And the villagers, they do it very fast. So my friends, something meaningful, something that is touching to your heart. Talk sweet nothing and create a wonderful relationship around. Look at greenery. Green is healthy for the altitude level of your eye. That's how when they do operations, they put green cloth. That's how God created the green, most of it in green in color. That is healthy to take you away from depression. Look at something green. And, solarium, that's the light therapy. You have natural light. Now don't go in the middle, around 12 o'clock and get burnt and then come dark, because when there is a milder sunlight, let the light fall on you, because we are highly prone here, because all the time we are in the AC and the vitamin D is less. It can also cause and induce depression. And without any reason you will feel lonely. So create all these little healthy environments that can change your life. Because, my dear people, each one of you is precious. God loves you. And without you, the church is not complete. Thank you.
Questions for Father?
Father, if someone wants to actually seek to talk to someone outside our friend circle, to have actual therapies, is it available, and how do we contact someone for that?
Yeah. One is that right now, as a priest, only I'm available. Yeah. What happens is, when I say I'm available, another thing, yeah? It's like one day we had that Catholic singles gathering. I went and said, I am also single. And the response came, are you ready to mingle? Right, jokes apart. Friends, we have a group of people whom I have trained basic skills counseling. They are confidential. It means with a vow of confidentiality. They work with me under my supervision. And there are also a group of psychotherapists who are available outside. Outside, what happens? Those people, outside people, they charge 500 dirhams per session. You pay 500, go for a depression therapy, come back to all the more depression. So, another move that I have taken is like with the family ministry itself. Some people are still working on it. That's called e-counseling. Yeah? You need not reveal your identity. Still, through electronic, you can do counseling. So almost the platform is ready. We are almost, maybe we might come back after the break this holidays, September or October. We will launch a sort of online help. Yeah? It's like a e-counseling. Yeah? But with all the confidentiality kept up. And you can, converse and talk to the email. So people will work under me. They will only reveal to me, and then I would guide them what to respond and how to do the fundraising. And finally, if you feel really you need somebody to meet to person, but I would always suggest person to person to do wonderful, because even in the video you saw, it's in our DNA, But we need more people here now. I pray that many priests who into counseling may come and help. So there is a counseling helpline available, which soon will be introduced to you, and you can seek the help. Even now, there are a group of people who are helping already. They are doing it.
How do they contact?
Yeah. family@awoza.org.
Family and Awoza.
Tomorrow I will get 100 mails.
Any other questions?
When will you finish your talk? Right. And we are planning this healing session. We call it Healing the Inner Child. See, usually we do it in our institute for 8 or 9 complete days. Last year, I don't know, some of you attended, I did it for 5 days here on a weekday, morning till evening. Yeah? There were around 70 people attended. Yeah? That was wonderful. Some of them took leave and they came. That was a wonderful experience, but even then I'm not happy. Like, usually in our institute, totally you are away from everything. You are there in that place and do this healing process. It's like creating science and spirituality together. Not simply one thing, yeah, come on, offer everything. No, not that way. It's about why you do this, what is the science behind it, then you do it, and then pray to that. So sort of scientific way the course is being designed. We are trying to work it out in October. Maybe the announcements will come up in the church through family ministry. Maybe you can put yourself in the course. That's only, it can be an introduction, because we are going to have only the evening 2 hours, 5 days. So I can't do much about it. Maybe at least the introduction will go to it. Right. Anything else? Fine? Done.
Well, thank you so much for your lovely session. I think everyone really agreed that it's a lot of information that we are not aware of. And thank you also for sharing about your story. Just a few announcements before I hand the mic across to Michelle. We've got a blue box which is here, right under Mother Mary. In the box, it's not in the box really, but there are some pieces of paper and a pencil here. If you want, if you have any prayer petitions that you would like the core team to pray for or about, please write them on a piece of paper and put them in the box. The core team will be praying over them first Tuesday of the month. They sit near the Our Lady Perpetual Succor image. Always forget that word. Image. Please feel free to join them if you would like to. Next week we've got the Gospel Ministry will be running. The Gospel Ministry will be running next week's session. This includes jamming and musical jeopardy. It's an open event, so please bring your children or your parents if they would like to join. CUIG will be coordinating the youth mass in October. we begin choir practices with team members of the YAM choir in August. If you are interested, please contact either the YAM choir or let Zephyr know. Zephyr? That's Zephyr. So you can get in touch with him. CYG's 25th anniversary is in November. We are now in the midst of planning a celebration event. This means we are looking for people that will help with various things like games, music, dancing, marketing, and media. If you are interested, please give your name to Nicole. Nicole's there. Or Michelle. Alright. Yeah. Marian Festival, August 15th, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. If you are interested in dancing with the YAM dance team, please contact Caroline for more information.
Melrick.
On Melrick. Feast of Our Lady of Assumption, August 16th, there's a high mass with the bishop at 6:15, which is followed by a procession and a rosary. Please feel free to walk behind the YAM banner if you are joining. The youth mass in August is on the 19th at 8 o'clock in the chapel. So look forward to seeing all of you there. And last thing is, on the 30th and 31st of August, we've got vocational discernment for youth, for people between the age of 16 to 28. If you are interested, please contact Caroline. Yeah, and she'll give you some more details. I will now give the mic to Michelle.
Gosh. I think my foot's asleep.
Hi. Wow. Hi.
Hi.
So we're gonna hug all of you together. Okay. Thank you, Father Arul. When we were discerning this session, it was actually back in April when we asked Father to do it. And little did we know that this would be his last engagement as our spiritual director. Do you all know what a spiritual director is? Okay, I'll tell you. All right. So basically, it is someone who helps us in our journey to get closer to God and guide us along the way. So even though he has been our spiritual director for a very short period of time, he has definitely organized and pushed us forward with the YAM ministry. Our previous spiritual director was Father Robert, as Hazel mentioned, and Father Robert started the youth mass and the formation of YAM. Father will help organize it, and now it's our turn to start praying for our next spiritual director. All right? But we would like to thank you for taking us on this journey and praying for us, and help us pray to shine God's light to all the youth that are here, and also the ones that are outside the church. All right? So as youth, maybe not so youthful, but as youth, we're pretty broke. So we couldn't buy you anything. So instead, we have put together a spiritual bouquet. And for those who don't know what a spiritual bouquet is, it's when we say that we are going to pray maybe the Mass, or go for adoration, or do works of mercy, say the Rosary, thank you. And so we would like to give this spiritual bouquet to you. On behalf of YAM. So there are some names there, but there are a lot of unnamed flowers for people who want to wish you well on your next step in life. All right? Father, we would like you to bless us, but before we do that, can we, if you have a, it's okay, it's my phone, it falls all the time. If you have a book, or if you can share the book. Oh, it's on projection. Fantastic. I forgot about that. Alright, so if we can say the Marian prayer, and then Father will bless us, and then we'll close the meeting. And then we want to take a picture with all you beautiful people? Yes, alright. And I'm gonna, so you can everyone see screen? Alright, perfect. So, let's go. Mary, we ask you to bless this group. Keep it safe in your immaculate heart. May it come alive our true home, a refuge for the poor in spirit, that they may find here the source of all life, a refuge for those who are severely tried, that they may be ceaselessly consoled. Mary, with us hearts that are humble, and to welcome with kindness and gentle compassion all those whom you send us. Give us hearts full of mercy to love them, to serve them, to distinguish all discord, and to see in our suffering brother and sister the living presence of Jesus. Lord, bless us from the hands of the poor. Lord, smile on us to the eyes of the poor. Lord, receive us one day in the company of your poor. Amen.
The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. May the Almighty God bless you all. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
God bless you. Thank you for the live youth group for this opportunity. God bless you. Continue your mission. Thank you.